Hello, welcome to another Emacs tutorial. My name is Daniel.
And I'm Durant.
And today we're going to talk about setting up your first version of your Emacs initialization file and setting up version control with Git and putting it on GitHub.
Yeah, let's go.
So here we are in a vanilla version of Emacs, no configuration setup. And we want to figure out how to set up our own customizations, right? So we need to figure out how to set up a customization file and modify it to add our own custom settings, right?
Yeah, fortunately we've created a boilerplate for you to download, and we are going to walk you through downloading that, making a minor customization, and then uploading it to your own GitHub repository.
Okay, so the first thing to do is figure out where this file should go, like these list of files here. We have 4 files in this repository. If you go to the Emacs manual here, and we press M, and go to Init. Let's see, we want Init file, so click on Init file, and it brings us to this documentation in the manual about where we should put this these set of files. So it says we should put it in, Emacs looks for your init file using the file names home directory, so ~/.emacs, or ~/.emacs.el, or ~/.emacs.d, which is a directory, right? And then the init.el file. So we're going to set up our configuration using the .emacs.d directory with an init.el file. So let's see. We're going to do that, we're going to download the zip file. We're going to go to, so initially we're at this initial page of the repository. We're going to click on the tag for the boilerplate that we set up. And then we're going to download the zip file for this. Open it up from our downloads. And again, we see the same four files here. So we're going to move this directory to our home directory .emacs.d. So we're going to go to the terminal. And if you already have your configuration for Emacs already, you probably want to back it up or move it somewhere just for the sake of practicing this video. So we're going to see if we have an Emacs directory already existing. It says, oh, it's a directory. Now we're going to move it and rename it to a backup file. So Emacs, just put .back at the end just to say it's backup.
And note that we're in the home directory now. You could put tildes in front of these to be extra sure.
Right.
But if you're in your home directory tilde, this would be the same.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to rename this directory. And now we double check if it exists still. It doesn't exist. This is perfect. This is what we want. And now we're going to move this directory from the downloads folder into our .emacs directory, or .emacs.d. So we're going to move from the downloads directory, that .emacs directory we just downloaded, and we're going to move it to our home directory .emacs.d.
So this basically named it as the second argument.
Mm-hmm. Now we double check again. We should expect this to return a directory because we just renamed it to that. And there we go. And if we list the contents of that directory, we see those 4 files that we have in the repository. Great. So now let's restart Emacs. So before that,
yeah, let's take a look at what we have here. Notice that we have the buttons on the top.
mm-hmm.
And so when we open this new configuration, those are going to go away, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's give it a shot.
So let's close Emacs, quit it, and restart it.
And Daniel has a key command to open Emacs, so
Yeah.
That's optional. If you want to set your system up like that, go for it.
So notice how there's now no longer any GUI buttons up here,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have that startup screen saying welcome to Emacs, click on these links to find out more, right? Just a little cleaning up for our boilerplate defaults. You can change it if you like.
Yeah, so you have the download now. Let's take a look at some of the files that we have just briefly. We covered this in the other video, but let's just take a look again.
All right. We're going to find that directory, .emacs.d, in the home directory. Here are our files again. And now let's go to the init.el. So again, this is what turns off the GUI components. So again, let's see if
we could change them and reopen Emacs and see them come back, right?
Right. So let's change these. One, basically it says the true values.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to evaluate using Control-X, Control-E.
Mm-hmm.
And we see it open up, right?
Yeah. You move the cursor to the end of a of an Emacs expression and do Control X, Control E, it will evaluate that Emacs expression.
Okay. And let's change those back to -1 and reevaluate it.
Boom, gone. Button's gone.
Right. What's next? What does this do, Durant?
Okay, so that, as it says, it's very readable. It inhibits the startup message, so you set that to true, and you're going to set the scratch message to nothing, so you come up with a completely blank page when you open, if that's what you want.
All right, and what else do? We set up the package manager, Melpa. We already covered this in another video.
Yeah, so we'll refer you to the other video. If you look at the very bottom of this, there is the config.org file.
Right, and let's go to that, config.org. And this is like the main place where you're going to modify all your custom configurations. For example, we do see in the top that it does say, add your name here for the author, and we go to like personal information. We do see like, you can put in your name, put in your email address, so Emacs will know your information from there.
There's one more thing about the custom.el file. So basically, this is just a file where Emacs will put your customizations. It needs to exist, so that file's also in this directory for you. It's an empty file.
Right, so if you ever want to modify your settings with the MetaX customize interface, it's sort of a GUI interface for you to modify your settings. You can go through this, and whenever you save anything, it will apply those changes to that custom.el file. By default, if we don't have the setting as we did here to set the custom file, it will put those customized interface settings into your init.el file. But to clean things up, we're going to put that in a separate file.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, and you can check out the same defaults later. This is in org mode. We'll talk about org mode a little bit later, but it's a way of collapsing these outlines.
Right.
Okay, so we have this file. We want to push it to a GitHub repository.
We're going to start like keeping track of our changes with it and putting it on GitHub, right? So to do that, we're going to go to our .emacs.d directory. We're going to ls those files again to see what's in it.
And so because we downloaded the zip, this is not a Git-controlled repository. So we need to control this with Git. We need to make this a Git repository.
So we're going to do git init. And when we start this, it says we're going to create an empty Git repository in this .git directory. So if we do another listing, we do see this .git directory, hidden directories. This is how Git does its magic for version control. So now if we say like git status, we see, we have some changes, right?
So there are the 4 files.
So what we want to do now is, let's see, what should we do now?
Well, we want to commit all 4 of these files. We can first check to see if there's anything we want to ignore and anything we want to add. I think we probably do want to add all those.
Okay.
We could also make a modification and see if this list changes. Should we customize something or?
Sure. What should we customize?
Let's see. We could. Let's see. A good example of a customization. We could use the menu and find something to customize.
Okay.
Okay. So if we go back into Emacs, and is there MetaX? Should be MetaX customize. Okay, and then we could look at text. We could really just change anything. So I don't know. We can change anything actually. Let's go to a table down there. We can just change the first thing we see. So we'll open this up. Let's toggle it. Okay, so now it's off. We don't know what this does, but we're making some customization. So we can save it now.
Sure, let's save it. So it says shown value does not take effect until you set or save it. So we're going to save like we do save any file in Emacs, Control X, Control S. Save all settings in this buffer, yes.
And now we should check the custom.el file and see if that updated.
Okay, custom.el, and here it is. We just changed that setting for tables.
Okay, that's great. So we've made one customization. Doesn't matter what it is. Well, you'll probably want to explore Emacs a little bit more and find something you want to customize. Maybe watch some videos on customizing your Emacs. But let's go back now and see which files we have.
So Git's going to say the same thing because we didn't track anything yet. But we do see that if we do add all these files like config.org and we add custom.el or init.el, that when we do git status, like, oh, we're starting to track these, right? And what does the .git ignore file do?
So git ignore tells Git which files not to track. And let's take a look at what we have so far.
So we do have a config.el file and an elpa directory. So in this configuration, we're just going to ignore these files because we don't want to know about these changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice that if we do an ls -a, that the config.el file is there, and that's because it gets generated from the config.org file.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we don't need to save it because it's just when you run the config.org, it becomes the config.el. So why save the final product if you're just going to regenerate it anyway from config.org? The other directory, elpa, is where you store a lot of your elpa packages. We talk about that in another video.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to add the git ignore file too.
Yeah.
And then we do git status. We have all the files we want to add to our repositories. Now, how do we begin to push this to GitHub, right? So we're going to go make a new repository with the plus button on GitHub. I've already done that here in this page. It's a test repository called my.emacs. So here's the initial instructions to tell you how to push it from Git to GitHub. We're going to add a remote, which is a link from Git to this particular repository on GitHub. Then we're going to push our changes to the web.
Now we want to change to SSH, right? We've made a separate video for you so that you can use SSH keys and so that you don't have to type your password each time you do it.
Right.
We'll link that video in this one, in the notes to this one.
Okay, so we're going to add the remote and push to match. Push from origin master, right? So we're going to add this remote saying the name of our repository link on GitHub is going to be called origin.
And this would be your repository that you made on GitHub. Just make a new repository, give it a name. You'll get this page. Switch to SSH, and type in that first line, which will say, "Hey GitHub, your origin is now this thing over there."
Yep. I'm gonna push it. Oh, what did I do wrong here? I didn't commit yet.
Okay. So all right. So
let's commit these. If you do a git status, we do see like, oh, we have changes to commit, to be committed. So we gotta do a commit. Let's do a message called like initial message, initial commit. And now if you do a git status, everything's good.
Okay.
Now we're gonna do the push. Origin master, which is the same command from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we pushed it. And now if we refresh this page,
hey, look, all the files are there. Let's check out the custom.el.
There it is.
So there you go. The customization you made is now going to show up, and you can share that with the world.
Nice.
Thanks for watching us.
See you later.